their reputation smeared because, you know, the lack of due diligence they were accused of putting forth in Roger Goodell. All of a sudden, we got articles in USA Today and beyond highlighting 50 different cases where Roger Goodell may have been able to be more active than he had actually been. The fact that the NFL had to implement policies, the fact that the NFL had to hire individuals that specialize in situations like this, all female, by the way, the fact that the NFL went through all of these things to address this specific issue, and then to turn around after all of that and still let a 37-year-old kicker off the hook. A 37-year-old kicker.
Well,
Molly, am I wrong here?
No, go ahead, Molly.
There's a couple things, and then I want Max to jump back in because I was writing down a couple questions as you guys were talking, and these are a few that I have. One, during all this, why did they re-sign the man? That's my first question. During this, they resigned him to a contract extension. What are you doing? Second question here. Where are the 4 women that were named to help the NFL in terms of the domestic violence policy? I want to hear from them because it appears that they botched this. And I could be wrong, and I'd love for them to speak out and explain it to me. Let me, just 2 more things. Another thing, as far as the bedside manner you spoke to, Anita Marks talked about that with Michelle and Marcellus on Sports Nation yesterday. She covers the team, and she said it was exactly that. He was a great guy around the organization, so people didn't expect this kind of behavior and maybe didn't do their due diligence. And my last thing, Stephen A., to what you brought up, so there's these documents. Why can the NFL and the Giants not obtain these documents? So then I'm told they're in divorce papers. Please, yeah, I want you to. So they're in his divorce file. Did you ever think the man might have got divorced partially because of the fact related to these domestic violence issues? So there might be information there. And one last thing that I want to say, Ben McAdoo had said, we're not going to turn our back on him, and we're going to stick by Josh Brown. Great, but you turned your back on his family. And if you want this man, if you truly love this man, he needs to get healthy. He's sick. He can't worry about football. He needs to put 100% into these demons and deal with them.
In terms of why did they extend the contract? This is one of the worst components of domestic violence because the family is an economic unit. Is part of a pull that keeps women in relationships that are bad for them. And so part of the issue, well, if he doesn't work, then how does he provide for his family, including his children, which are also his wife's children? That's part of the serious and tragic nature of domestic violence, I think. Stephen A.?
Well, listen, you're right, Max. Absolutely. But that's why the NFL and the Giants can't be excused. Because they knew all of this. One of the things, if you recall, with the whole Ray Rice scandal, one of the things that resonated was the fact that his then fiancée, now wife, went before Roger Goodell and pled on behalf of her husband. Roger Goodell used that as justification for giving him the initial 2-game suspension because he had not seen the video from the situation in Atlantic City. So while Roger Goodell hired those 4 ladies in the NFL league office to assist in addressing these matters, was not just from an investigative perspective, but also from the perspective of the alleged victim. What has transpired? How do we deal with this? Because he was acknowledging as a league office, possibly even as a human being, that he was ill-equipped to deal with this himself. So with all of that as a backdrop and all the things that the NFL, the Shield, not to mention the individual teams under its purview and 1,000+ players under its purview that everybody had to be subjected to over the last year and a half or so because of Ray Rice and the Greg Hardy situation. A 37-year-old kicker named Josh Brown gets dealt with lightheartedly. It is as egregious as it gets. It speaks to, if not nepotism, favoritism, because it is clear that most other people would not get treated the way that Josh Brown has gotten treated, which leads us to ask the question, because we don't know, it leads us to ask the question, why? Why did this dude get that kind of leniency? Not just for the Giants, because even though it's inexcusable, we can understand it because clearly ownership likes him, if not loves him. But the NFL, why not? Why not?
I think, Molly, your question is the best one as it relates to this information, because the issue in the Ray Rice case that came up as the facts were coming out was there didn't seem to be a good faith effort by the NFL to acquire the videotape. The video was available, and it didn't seem like they tried very hard to get it. And here it comes out that the NFL called the sheriff's department to get the journal, but they didn't identify themselves as the NFL. And once they were told no, they didn't try again, according to the sheriff's department. They're pointing at each other. The point is that also doesn't seem like a very good faith effort
you're not doing your job.
Do the investigation. Yes, Stephen.
Max, to buffer your point, let's recall that the same accusations were made about Ray Rice, that the NFL could have indeed got a hold of the video earlier than they did, even though, to the fairness of the NFL, they categorically denied there was any truth to that. They didn't know. Remember that supposedly a UPS package was mailed to them? They said they never got it. Remember that whole story in regards to the Ray Rice video? So the same could be said. So in that regard, there may be a bit of consistency, albeit as, as unforgivable as it may be. There's a level of consistency with that and Josh Brown. In the end, where the inconsistency comes into play is how Josh Brown has been dealt with so lightheartedly with the backdrop of Ray Rice and Greg Hardy. That's the key here. You have all of this as evidence. You have a recent history to fall back on and how much damage that had done to the NFL shield. And to still allow this to happen for this dude is inexplicable. Makes no sense whatsoever. None.
Yep. And I'm just extremely disappointed with both the Giants and the NFL, and we'd love to hear from them if we're missing any information on this subject. Coming up next, will Sam Bradford outduel Carson Wentz this weekend? Huge game for the undefeated Vikings. We will break that down.